Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 24 of the Glory Days podcast. Bit of an empty sort of episode today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're all empty at heart after last weekend's performance, but unfortunately Josh has work commitments and Will is still, screwing around on holiday.
It's some juxtaposition, isn't it, that we have a small crew on today, yet we have one of the biggest Glory crowds in recent memory.
That is quite quite a dilemma, but you know what? Let's jump straight into it. Wow, just
Perth Glory 0, Melbourne Victory 2. No doubt whenever Victory come in, it's always a big game. Historically, we've had some good games against them. And I think most people after the Jets game were thinking, all right, Victory haven't necessarily been in top form. This is a game where, if the Glory are on it, maybe they can get something. But we'll obviously delve into our thoughts a little bit more in detail. But I just think a massive missed opportunity.
I'd have to agree there. Look, Melbourne haven't been on form
since Kisnorbo's gone.
Since Kisnorbo went. But look, you can expect it. First-time manager that they have now signed on a permanent deal until, I think, the end of next season as well. Yeah,
it doesn't shock me because I think they were waiting for him to win a game before they were going to announce him because their books are absolutely fucked financially. So
yeah,
it doesn't
I
shock
can imagine. But look, aside from that, I like our approach going into. I liked our approach going into the game. Obviously, there were a few decisions that kind of annoyed me. For example, Trent Ostler starting again. I understand that the likes of Lockie Wales and Udo Masao aren't completely match fit, but I really think that they could have added something, especially Joel Anasmo as well.
We will touch on it more when we get into the thoughts on the second half, but Anasmo for me has to be starting as of this Friday against the Mariners because we've had this discussion loads of time on the show, but the need for wingers that have output, that can be effective and beat their man and look to create a bit of chaos. I was on the Far Post Perth podcast a couple of nights ago, and Neil Sherwin, we were sort of debating about it, and Ostler is someone that has had a lot of opportunities, but it has failed on quite a few occasions, unfortunately, to have any real output. He has had some good moments, but at this stage now, you need to be delivering, and unfortunately, he hasn't really done that.
Look, I mean, losing Doggy was obviously a big hit. I'd imagine that Ostler really wouldn't be starting if Doggy was still here, and I understand the sort of notion that they'd rather have Joel Anasmo down that left hand side, given that that is where he's more comfortable. But I really see no, I guess, not necessarily no risk, but no downside to playing him off of that right side over Trent Ostler, because I genuinely look, Trent has been a great servant to this club, and I've said if it was up to me next season, I probably would keep him as a serviceable squad player because there's multiple positions that he can fill in. He's still young. He's a good
jack of all trades, so to speak.
Absolutely. But I feel like he's leaning more towards becoming a jack of all trades but a master of none, which is a problem when he is a starting 11 player.
Yeah.
At least Doggy broke out of that mold for us and sort of became...
He hit a new level.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But look, that aside, let's get into the starting lineup for the game. Obviously,
we'll do the fan comments first.
Absolutely. Can't forget that.
We'll touch on that. So we had Alex, first of all, that said, it's in our DNA that the club loses whenever a decent crowd rocks up. Also, would be criminal if our front four against Central Coast isn't Taggart, Anasmo, Pearman and Wales.
Completely agree.
I'm not sure when they leave. The young boys leave for the under-20s.
They've already left.
So no Pearman.
No Pearman. No
Lizalewski.
No Lizalewski, and Labib is still out with injury. And no Bagaria as well.
No Bagaria.
So it's looking like It's looking like it will be Gomulka back in the 10 by the looks of it.
Not Wood up top. He's going to want to play Wood.
You reckon a front two?
Yeah, not that I want it. Not that I want it, but that's what I reckon it'll do.
Probably. I mean, Tags and Wood up top, maybe Lockie off of the right and Asmo off of the left. Could work.
Muller, we are now at more club statements than wins this season following Pelligra having the message at full time where he said, "Thanks guys for showing up."
Can we just touch on it quickly before we get into the rest of the comments? What a crowd, bro. Oh my God.
That was a surprise because Josh was saying to me, oh, it looks like 10,000. And then there was just me being a negative Nancy and saying, no, that looks like 7 to 8. But then once I think the first minute hit and I was having a look around and I was going, no, that looks a little bit more packed than normal. Credit to the fans that rocked up because anyone can say, oh, well, it's 5,000 free tickets. But it's one thing to offer the tickets, it's another thing for the people to come.
Yeah.
And they could have easily said, no, stuff it, we could do other things on our Saturday night, but they rocked up, and the atmosphere that was created by not just the Glory fans, but also the travelling Victory fans,
100%.
I thought added for a really good spectacle that I think made the first half and the start of the second half in particular very entertaining.
The Bay with a very nice display as well, with the TIFO.
Had a bit of mixed reviews.
Well, here's the thing. I have not seen a single person outside of Perth Glory that isn't a massive troll on Twitter. Like, obviously, you have, your... I hate to mention names, but your Laxacs of the world, saying, it's dog shit, die.
Well,
but
it's a
aside from people that live just to troll on Twitter, and a select few Glory fans, I do think that the display was good and it was very well received. We had a lot of people from Sydney and Western Sydney especially saying that they really enjoyed the TIFO.
It's probably something that's obviously a work in progress in the sense of that's something to start, but obviously there's more that can be done in the sense it's better. I mean, like you see some of the TIFOs that are done by other clubs or even Glory historically. I mean, the Far Post, they chucked up a selection of TIFOs that had been done before. And in an ideal world, it would be fantastic to see the Bay and the Shed collaborate for a massive TIFO that intimidates the opposition, because I think we saw in the second half the fact that we had a packed out Shed and Bay area that allowed Glory to play probably their best football that they had done in that 10-minute period following the second half starting. But yeah, I think the TIFO itself, it was for the anniversary of the Bay forming,
1 year anniversary, yeah.
Yeah, so it's something good, and it's good to see the young fans getting involved, and hopefully when they next do a TIFO, it can be even better. That would be something that I'd love to see. We had a comment from Ewan who said that Misao looked like someone who needs to be an important player for us. Every time he got the ball, he looked to actually find the play up the pitch. At one point, got the ball and switched it straight into an Asmos path. I agree. Muller again showed a screenshot from FootMob of Abdul Faisal being the player of the match for the Central Coast Mariners in the F3 derby.
Oh my God.
I can already see, we'll touch on the preview for the Mariners game on Friday, but I can already see Faisal dropping a masterclass.
Don't do that, bro.
I can already see it.
Don't say that.
Stinks it up when he plays in the A-League for us and suddenly turns it on.
Gonna hit the fucking gritty or something.
Jordan, great to see a full Bay. Unfortunately, we lose yet another home game. Had some big chances to score, didn't capitalise and eventually conceded. And Asmo and Wales should have been brought on after half time. And Franey shouldn't have started. If Gamulka started, we would have played better. I think that's a debate worth having. I mean, Franey's obviously a decent player and someone that in his cameo appearances has shown something. I probably wouldn't have started him this game though. I think it was too big. I think it was too big of a game.
I think so as well. Look, Gamulka and Pennington is obviously our best double pivot. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. I would have wanted to see that. Look, I was surprised personally to see Pennington playing a full or a near full 90.
Yeah.
Look, I think Will Franey's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great.
He's definitely got a good ceiling.
Yeah, but making his professional debut out on the left wing and then sticking him right at CDM in the middle of the ground against Melbourne Victory. Against the likes of Teague and Machach
and Valadon,
you're setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
So I think that's one that I think I have to put towards Relic because I don't know what he's doing.
It was a wrong game to have him in. I think the Mariners game probably would have been a better game for him to have been phased in because there's less expectation.
I 100% think Will is ready to be phased in. I just don't think you should be throwing him in at the deep end.
It was the wrong time.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
There were a couple more, and then we'll flash the rest of them because we had quite a few comments from the viewers.
Yeah.
We had Jay that said, not an unexpected defeat, but it feels a bit disappointing. Langrak, a superb keeper that was comfortable all night. It was gutting to see Sale palm a ball away to the opposition again. Real chance against Central Coast Mariners at least. James Merrin came out after half-time looking hot. Unlucky not to score, somewhat against the run of play we conceded, and good old Zrilic stands there for nearly 2 minutes, hands in his pockets, not a single fuck was given. Popovic would be rallying the team on. Zrilic just stands there. Little harsh. Two more. Jacko, very competitive in the first 60 minutes, but faded away as Victory gained control. The team is definitely improving, but it's hard to compete when the salary cap can't be policed, as Victory have some very good players who aren't playing for nothing. Not sure about that. And then Lachlan, Disappointed because for 50 minutes we looked decent. Was hoping Wood got brought in to be a backup for Tags, not to take Pearman's spot and push him out wide. Think David is too reactive. Something goes wrong, and then he changes it up. And Nasmo needs to start. The bloke is quality. All right, apologies for that cut. We'll jump into the starting lineup because obviously David made a couple changes. So Pennington was brought in after being injured. We know that. Look, we heard some inside info that he was just being managed.
Yeah.
So it was. The approach has just been to be cautious, and he was always a chance for the Victory game. It was a bit of a surprise to see him last the whole game, but it was good to see him back nonetheless because we definitely missed him.
Yeah, especially when he was excluded from the actual squad list.
Yeah, and then obviously Franey brought in. O'Neill was not even in the squad. So in the sense of the starting lineup, it was essentially the same front four that we had against the Jets. Were you happy with it, or did you think we should have made the change to our attack?
I really think that we made a big mistake. Look, a team like Victory have one of the strongest midfields in the league, so I really see no point as to taking an extra man out of the midfield, especially when we've seen, especially against the Jets, that Jalen Pearman is really impressive in terms of his defensive ability and his actual, defensive metrics. He's really, really solid.
He's combative.
I don't know why we would take him out of the midfield in place of playing Pat Wood at striker, because realistically, I don't know what we get out of it. Look, Pat Wood's a great young player. I get that. But you play him or Taggart. You don't play both.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe in cases where you don't have Jalen Pearman, you can play a two-striker formation if you don't think Adam Bulgaria is ready enough. Or maybe if you're looking to hit, I guess, teams more on the counter, you do that. But largely in terms of, I guess, possession and in terms of actual, on-the-ball chance creation, we were largely in that game. But where we lost it was that we just didn't have that extra presence in the midfield, which was really, really disappointing. I'm still not convinced by our chance creation, though. I mean, and even when we have possession, because I think it's just too chaotic, and I just don't think we can manage the rhythm of the game well enough. And even if we want to try and play at a fast tempo, we don't even have the right preconditions for it. Like, let's say we're trying to hit Taggart's feet. There aren't any players that are close to him that can receive the ball. Taggart's got to try and play some Hollywood pass to players that are running away from him. Yeah. And then you have Pat Wood, who's obviously a player that's got his abilities, but he's not improved our attacking dynamics. I mean, I question his impact from the 2 games that he's had, and yes, it takes time for a new player to settle in. But you've got a guy in Jalen Pearman who was consistently making our attacks work better when he was playing as a number 10. Why are we playing around with the dynamics when we've already got something that's working? Look, Pat looked dangerous at times. I'll give him that. He looked really good. But I don't think that what we got out of Pat Wood was anywhere near what we would have gotten out of Jalen Pearman playing in the 10 for that game. 100%. 100%. There was so much space through the middle of that park that we just weren't occupying. No. And it was absolutely abominable. Yeah. Because Jalen's getting stuck out on that left-hand side. And what frustrated me is that it was just the same shit. We started off really well with the intensity in the second half. Jalen Pearman actually came through the middle 20 seconds in and nearly scored. Yeah. He's so much more natural through the middle. So I don't know why. Look, lads, I know he's probably off to QPR, but can we make use of him while he's here? Jesus Christ.
Well, we're
not going to touch on that yet, by the way.
But it's no surprise though in the second half when Pearman was closer to Taggart and just closer to the play in general and not shackled out wide, he was far more influential.
Oh, 100%.
It's no surprise that we were able to put Victory under pressure because he was the one that could find those passes, which is crazy for a guy his age who's had barely any A-League experience. It's just natural to him.
When you play a midfielder in the midfield and a winger on the wing, we do better than when we do the fucking opposite.
Yeah, well, we proved that in the Jets game. I thought that experiment of trying to play Pearman out wide, where we want him to cut inside and play as an inside 10 almost, but there's no overlap. There was no width, I felt, and that didn't help our build-up play. But yeah, I think just in the first half in general, I felt that Victory obviously were dominating possession, but I think it was still anyone's game. Yeah, with the amount of chances that were happening end to end. But I think the concerns were there for me quite early on because of the defensive structure. I'll flash it up at some point during the podcast, but if you take a look at the average position of the Victory players, You basically had Rawlins dropping a little bit deeper. You had the two Victory midfielders sitting. And then there was basically 5 guys that were running at the Glory backline. And, you know, for me, the fact that we were wanting to be a bit aggressive with our shape, yet we weren't even doing the basics well enough in the sense of blocking passes, or when we do press, there was a point that was mentioned by Oz Tactics. He did a great thread on it. Body shape and your angles when you're running at someone. I thought that we were too straight with our angles, and our structure in general was just way too easy for the Victory to penetrate. And if that was Bruno Fornaroli taking those shots instead of Nikos Virgos, I think we could have very easily been a couple goals down at halftime.
God bless Nikos Virgos for being, you know,
shit
middy McMid. But
yeah,
let's move on to
the Machach incident. Should that have been a red card?
I'll be honest, I haven't watched it. But I watched it live in front of me. I thought that they should have at least had a look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand why they're not at least having a look at that. Because
he was having a look at it because he had his hand to his ear for at least 2 minutes.
No, but that's not having a look at it, man. They're just fucking whispering sweet nothings into his ear, man. Look, I think that it could have been looked at. I don't know. I saw that pretty much. I had as good a view as buddy anyone because I was right behind the goal.
It's a push in the throat.
Oh, it is. It is. Look,
it should have at least been a card.
Look, I've seen those be reds before. I've seen those, you know,
not be given
before. Like, you got to at least caution the player there. I don't know how you can get away with, you know, putting your hands around someone's throat, starting, you know, a near scrap in the penalty box, and completely get away with it scot-free.
Yeah,
the refs had a couple of shocking decisions that game. I thought
it was shit for both sides.
It was awful.
Because I think if Machach should have been sent off, then probably Murchula should have been sent off as well. Because there was the replay of his tackle, I think, on Velupile in the first half, where he just crunched him. And I was like, shit, if VAR had a look at that, we could have been in serious trouble. But I just think the referee in general just... He's a bit pompous, but he just didn't control the game at all.
God bless A-League referees and their mediocrity, man. God bless it. Let's move on to, I guess, some more of the chances that we had. Taggart obviously had a really nice one-on-one chance there. Should have scored. I was very, very disappointed that he didn't put that away.
Well, he fashioned it out of nothing. Long ball. 100%. I mean...
Ollie Sale finally with a good piece of distribution as well.
But that also doesn't work unless Taggart does... I think it was... He got underneath Miranda, then he got straight past Brendan Hamill, and left Hamill basically chasing nothing. Yeah. And, you know, you can credit Langerack for his positioning, but...
You expect Taggart to score
Taggart should be scoring that.
100%.
And, you know, I'm sure he would have been kicking himself at full time because normally he would do that. But it was sort of emblematic of our attack all game, the fact that we were able to get into positions to score. We marginally had a smaller XG than Melbourne Victory, which was a surprise. But we should have come away from the game with something, I felt, with the chances that created. I mean, you could talk about Taggart's, but you can also talk about Pat Wood trying to backheel it when he should have just, you know, he could have taken a touch and just side-footed it in. Why try something fancy when, you know, just do the simple things?
Patrice Woodinho. 100%.
Well, he tried to flick over one of the Victory defenders, and I was like, fuck, is this guy Neymar? And it's like, dude, do the simple shit.
Yeah.
Like, Sydney fans ridiculed you because you couldn't do the basic stuff. You could do some good stuff with your link-up play or with your runs in behind, but then with your finishing, it was just a bit chaotic. Just a simple tap-in. Like, you know, even would Taggart try a backheel in that moment? He probably would just side-foot it.
Yeah, probably.
And that's why that's why Taggart scored,
roof of the net near post.
Umpteen many goals each season. So I just think that those two chances in particular for us, on another day we should have buried. And that for me was the most disappointing part because I felt in the first half it was a very even game despite Victory dominating possession.
Something that was also disappointing for me was how just ineffective we look from set pieces in terms of attacking and defending.
Fuck me dead.
Attacking set pieces, I've genuinely not seen a single case this season where we've whipped in like a good ball and I think, like, oh, holy shit, we can score here. And that's really disappointing considering you have guys like, you know, Tommy Murchula and when he is there, Andriano Labib. Yeah. And then on top of that, Zach Lizalewski.
Or Taggart, who can be there as like
Taggart as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have those guys like that can challenge for that ball. Yeah. But either our deliveries are just so off or it just doesn't look like we're going in there to win it. Man. Like there looks to be no fucking structure when we're whipping balls. No planning, no nothing. It's just whip it in there and just hope
Inshallah. Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, we should be having we should be at least testing the goalkeeper more often than not from
Yeah.
our set piece deliveries. When you've got someone like Merchler who's like 6'4".
Yeah, but how many times do we have corners that don't beat the first man, or,
Yeah, or
free kicks that just go straight to a defender in the box, not even close?
Oh,
to
because but this has been a problem we've spoken about for years, though. Ever since we let go of remember Marinkovic?
Yeah, Marinkovic.
The dude was a set piece specialist, and we just don't have players in general that can cross. And it's no surprise, at least for me, that when you've got a poor supply, then you're not going to score as many goals or create as many chances to begin with.
Franey looks okay on set pieces, but I'm genuinely interested. My problem is a lot of the time with the runners, it genuinely doesn't look like we actually have a plan.
No.
Like, if we do have a plan, or if someone can figure out a plan, Oz Tactics, if you want to analyze every free kick and analyze the running patterns, I would love to see it, mate, because I don't see shit.
No.
I just see the players getting ready and then running in a straight line.
Yeah.
And
there's no blockers.
It does nothing fucking for me. There's no blockers. There's no curved runs. There's no people coming in on an angle. It's just a straight fucking line every single time, and it does nothing.
Because like I said, when you've got someone like Merchler, who's such a threat in the air and has scored off plenty of corners, we should be testing the goalkeeper and the opposition's defence a lot more. And I know Victory have got big centre-backs as it is, but we should be trying to find creative ways to create chances, because one of our biggest problems throughout the whole season has been we don't create enough chances and we don't score enough goals. Yeah. And I mean, yes, okay, we've seen a slight uptick in the XG that we've created, but we're still not being clinical enough for me. And it just shows, if you compare last season to this season, at this point last season we had 34 goals. At this point this season we've got 11. A dramatic decline, which is fucked. Yeah, and it just represents that we're missing quite a fair amount of quality, and we need the likes of Lockie Wales and Yuto Misao to be in the starting 11 as soon as possible.
Yeah, I thought Tas Mortakudis looked alright.
In what way?
I just thought he was okay. I just thought he was a serviceable option. Someone that I'd probably keep around for next year.
Yeah, I agree, but I think we're missing Labib.
Oh, no, 100%. I think Labib works a lot better with Merchler, especially because of his physical attributes and the speed. Pace. Yeah, 100%. But I thought Tas was okay.
He was okay, but I think we because we didn't have that speed of Labib, I think the way in which we want to press, we can't compress the lines. Yeah. And I think there's maybe that hesitancy of wanting to drop back while the rest of the team is trying to push forward. Yeah. And then you get that predicament where there's so much space in behind the midfield line.
I'm still left wondering who the hell is going to pick up Josh Laws as well. I'm still very curious. Because I honestly thought it would have been that Alex Grant would stay in China till the end of the season, Sydney would pick up Laws, and then we'd get Granty started next season.
He got
Granty's only on a short-term deal.
No, but from China, he got deregistered by his club.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was injured.
Yeah, but that's why he got deregistered, because he was injured.
but the point is that we don't know when he's going to get back to playing first-team football, because he's apparently not going to be playing for Sydney FC in the derby.
Well, look, I'm more just curious on the Josh Laws case.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We've heard nothing. We've heard absolutely nothing on it since we saw that
the photo.
Saw that photo of him and Stan Lazaridis.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, are we getting that done, or are we not getting that done?
Well, Zrilla said in the press conference yesterday that they're still going to look at options pending what their budget is.
I mean,
that it might mean nothing, but
yeah,
I guess we're just going to have to see. But I think for me, we should still be looking for as many avenues as we can to try and fast track the rebuild, because there's no point in waiting for next season if you can make a dent in something now.
100%. And Josh Laws is someone you can easily keep around for 3-4 years as well. He's only 26, I believe.
Yeah, but I think the plan might be we're wanting to bring in Alex Grant next season.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, but I guess...
Back three, man. Fucking run
back three, oh jeez.
Run it, bro.
We're bringing it back.
Run it.
First half, I think Virgos, we obviously touched on it before, but we mentioned the corners. Mm-hmm. There was the chance that Virgos had that was from a corner. Yeah. Where it went straight to Langerak, and then he released the Victory players, and bang, they were on the counter-attack. And then Virgos had that shot that went straight at Sale. But I think the disappointing thing for me in that first half, or one of them, was the fact that Victory were just creating so many chances, and while they weren't clinical,
made it way too easy on the counter. Yeah. That's another reason why I feel like not having that extra man in midfield was a really bad idea, because we looked so just just weak.
Open.
Just weak on transition.
Yeah.
Every single time. There's no shape, no structure, no nothing.
Well, this is the thing. It's like Rangnick, I'm sure, would have been... rest defence is obviously a sort of newer concept, but when you've got a team that wants to press, you surely would want to have preconditions within your structure that allows you to get possession as soon as you can the moment you lose it. Yet teams are still finding it very easy to break us down either in transition moments or in open play.
Yeah.
And I smashed it on the Far Post podcast in the sense of our structure. I mean, it's been disappointing for too long now, where I'm like, well, we should be seeing a much more compact structure and not much space for teams to penetrate us through the lines. And it's just the basics at which we're lacking at, and teams are going, sweet, this is very easy for us to create chances. Like there was, I'll put the clip on when I can, but it was the moment that led to Virgos's header that was saved at point blank by Ollie Sale.
Yeah.
That came because it was a passive press from Taggart and Wood. Ryan Teague was able to position himself in between the two. He then received the ball, I think, from Hamill. Teague was able to turn. One pass took out our midfield four.
Yeah.
I think it got to Velupile, and then he cuts inside. Risdon realises the danger as Victory run at us with 5 players, hacks down Velupile, and then that leads to the free kick, which we're very lucky that Ollie Sale was able to save from point blank. But again, defensive structure. People can talk about how good we played in the game, but for me, there were too many warning signs, and I felt that, you know, at halftime that needed to change. Otherwise, Victory were going to find an option or an opportunity to score.
Well, speaking of halftime and us playing good, we'll discuss the start of the second half, because those were maybe a few brief moments of joy for us.
10 minutes.
Maybe about 10, 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 10. I'd say 10, yeah.
Look, Pierman played a lot more central during that time. Looked very, very good.
No surprise.
No surprise there.
Yep.
Once again, made a lot of space for Taggart as well. He looked solid. Pennington, it was a bit iffy. I can't lie. Pennington was a bit iffy towards the back end of the game. I'm going to assume it's just because he wasn't
at his best.
Yeah,
but
we've seen better from him this season. But he was still our best midfielder while not having his best game.
Yeah, but
unless you think he was better than Franey.
No, with the greatest respect, you're sort of polishing a turd. Because I felt that Franey and Pennington individually are good players, but I don't feel that was a balanced midfield.
No, not at all.
When you compare that to Ryan Teague and Geordie Valadon and the way in which they work with each other and how hungry they are to win possession, how well they understand each other, and yes, they've played with each other for years now, but they've got that understanding and they've got that chemistry. And one of the big problems that we've had is that David has been changing the team too much. If you can't build those relationships.
If you play Pennington, you have to play him next to Gamulka, and if you play Franey, I feel like you have to play him next to O'Neill.
Well, why not play a midfield 3? Now that Pierman's gone off with the under-20s, why not play a 4-3-3 with a 6?
Honestly, could do.
Wouldn't that make more sense?
Gamulka, Pennington, and Franey, would you say? Gamulka, Pennington, O'Neill. I'd honestly back Franey. I honestly don't think he's been that bad.
But he needs that support.
That is true, but I also feel like having that extra support in the midfield trio would do.
Do you play him as a sole 6, or do you play him as an 8 next to Pierman?
No, 8 next to Pennington. Yeah, 100%. Do not play him as a sole 6.
And then you have
Gamulka's job.
Gamulka, yeah. Well, why not try that?
I would try it. I'm not opposed to it.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing for David. It's like, well, if you've got Pierman, you play Pierman, okay, that justifies the 4-2-3-1. But okay, when he's gone, all right, the 4-4-2 for me is not working. Teams are killing it way too easily.
Yeah, the thing is as well with playing a 4-3-3 like that with a sole pivot is that I'm pretty sure you could change that to fit our 4-2-3-1 pressing structure. You have Pennington that can join tags in sort of that forward press if you want, similar to what Jalen does, and just have Freeney and...
well, we just need a bit more of a sweep up.
Holding.
Because I think, the press itself is there are opportunities for teams to break it.
Yeah.
A press should not be easy for teams to get out. Yeah. And I was watching the Sydney FC Adelaide game, but they had their press to the point where it was suffocating.
Oh, it was
Adelaide. Phenomenal. And then Auckland, they played MacArthur during that round, right? Was that right? Auckland? Was it at home? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
But their press, their press is so well organised also. And when you're going to press that aggressively, teams should not be able to penetrate. And we'll obviously discuss that a little bit more when we talk about the Santos goal. But yeah, I think, like I said, the warning signs were clear from the off, and it was just disappointing with the second half that despite the many chances that we created, I counted 3. The one that was cleared off the line by Hamill.
Yep.
Lizalewski's deflected cross, looping over Langerak. I felt Patrick Wood should have done better there. To be able to sweep it in, because you got Taggart, that's Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
You've got to be making more of that opportunity. And then Pennington, I don't know how you missed that.
That was a bad one. That was a really bad one.
I don't know how you missed that. You're right in front,
That was a really,
and it's
really
like
bad one.
it's great ball from Pearman. And why not side foot it? Why are you trying to like volley it as though you're 10 metres out? Like side foot it, like bottom corner. Guarantee Langerak doesn't get there. I mean,
the angle was a bit tight. I can understand why he's going for power at the near post there, but yeah, look, I would have hoped that my my midfielder would be finishing that one, especially.
Yeah.
Speaking on to people that actually can score goals, Volupele.
Fuck me dead.
60 minutes in on the hour mark, manages to get the victory 1-0 ahead.
Yep.
Casey Boss did really well down that left-hand side.
He shrugged off 2 fucking Glory players.
Machach had so much space there.
Yeah.
And I hate to harper on about the same point, but you need the extra man in the midfield. You can't have a 2-man midfield against Machach, Teague, and Valadon. You can't. Or
no one that's a natural 6.
That as well.
Defensive, like who's communicating with Pennington? Because you can literally see Machach drift off a little bit. Yeah. Pennington is just guarding space.
Oh yeah, Franny was out wide, and Pennington's just.
But Boss should not have been able to have shrugged off 2 Glory players.
Yeah.
Because you would see with the Victory players, their intensity, you wouldn't see, let's say, a Glory player run with the ball and shrug off 2 Victory players.
If that's Lockie Wales or Joel Asma, I don't think he gets past. Because it's Osler.
Osler and Franny.
Well, the thing is, I like having wingers that can at least give some good defensive work rate, and a large part of that is you either need to be tactically smart or you need to be physically strong in terms of your recovery pace and stuff like that. That's why I feel Labib does so well in terms of his recovery pace. That's why I feel Doggy does so well in terms of his defensive metrics when he plays on the wing, because he's, a hard worker, he's quick, he's agile.
Tenacious.
Osler is not quick. Osler is not agile.
He should be stronger in that moment.
He needs to be stronger
because he's got the physique to be more imposing physically, but in that moment you can't be letting your direct opponent beat you physically.
Yeah. I genuinely think if that's Lockie Wales or an Asma, I don't think that. Well, maybe they go ahead and score anyway, but I don't think that Casey Boss beats them as easily as he did Osler.
And then you get to the point where Machach is not only able to receive in a dangerous position, but he's able to turn, drive into space, shoot. But the worst part for me was Risdon, because he had at least a couple metres ahead of Volupele.
Yeah.
Ball watching, and then Volupele is more hungry, beats him to the ball, and then a very simple tap in. And yes, you can criticise Ollie Sale for palming it straight into the path of Volupele, but I question where's the reaction from the Glory players.
Yeah, I'm not going to put anything on Sale there. Look. People that say shit like, "Oh, why didn't he just palm it around the goalpost?" It's
hard.
Like, bro, fucking what?
It's hard.
When you get drilled a shot from about 15, 16 yards, your first thought isn't, "Oh, let me curl this around the post so that it goes out for a corner." It's shit. Let me save the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Like I love how people say that shit. It's just like, "Oh, you should have just curled it. You should have just palmed it around the post." It's just like, fucking what?
It's not that. Not many goalkeepers can do that, because even Langerak would probably have done the same thing.
You look in the Prem and most goalkeepers don't do that shit. You look in the Champions League, most don't do that shit. Like, he's done well to make the save there. Yes, you can say, "Oh, well, if he palmed it wider, they wouldn't have scored." Probably.
But blame the follow-up from the defenders not recognising the danger.
Look, I've sung Risdon's praises all season. That was a poor one.
Because you could see, like, again, when Taggart had that volley or that attempted chip over Langerak, you could see the desperation from the Victory defenders and the amount of times the Victory players would do that extra 1 or 2% to stop a shot or to force a Glory player out wide. Meanwhile, our guys were very lackadaisical, very lethargic.
Big word from you. Big word.
Oh, big word, yeah. But just lacking that intensity that's needed. And, there were some harsh calls from fans at the end of the game saying that Risdon's finished at this level. I'm not saying it's me, but there were some fans that were saying that.
There were, but also at the same time, those people are fucking stupid. Look, we've had talks in our group chats about this, but my position on it is Risdon 100% should still be our starter, but you need a good backup option there that you can bring on 55, 60 minutes into the game. Risdon cannot play a full 90.
Physically, he's done.
Physically, he cannot play a full 90 every single week. No. He can maybe play a full 90 once every 2 weeks. I'm fine with that. Because start of the season, his fitness looked absolutely fine.
No. Not for me. No, not for me. Because I had concerns as soon as... Look, the pre-season was concerning because in the Armidale game, he was blowing gaskets at the 50th minute. I remember the Moreton City game.
Look at the way he was playing that Armidale.
But the Moreton City game in the Cup, there was a moment where he was that gassed after like 15, 30 minutes where he fell over the touchline. And Risdon is a player that we need to be using far more conservatively because when he's fully fit and you can play him when he's at a top level, he's really good. And we've seen that so many times this season. But when he's cooked, he's not the same player.
I am assuming this is probably why the club bought in Okamoto. It's just unfortunate that he did get injured. Look, this is something that you have to consider. Look, I probably would have maybe tried to get a more permanent backup option if there was one. I don't know.
Rawlins we should have tried to keep.
I agree on this.
Maybe because I know I said we should have let him go, but the fact that he's come back to the A League and look how he's doing for Melbourne Victory.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that it would have been a smart move for Rawlins, but it would have been a great keep for the club if we could have kept him around. But yeah, let's move on to the Santos goal because it was about, 5 minutes later?
Yeah.
And what did you say was the 7th or the 9th time? So the 9th time this season that we've conceded 2 goals within 6 minutes.
Yeah. Because Ben Smith did that stat after the MacArthur game where I think Jed Drew had that quick double.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It's like...
That is outrageous, by the way.
Where are we at mentally to the point where we are allowing teams to cash in a short period of time? If we can... We might play good for a little bit. It's exactly like the MacArthur game. We played well for about 10, 15 minutes and then bang, bang.
Yeah. And look, I know it's hard. I know it's really, really difficult for the players with the situation, all the crap that's gone on this season. But I feel for the fans, man. Especially, you have a packed-out bay and a packed-out shed and a really good support in the general admission areas.
Loads of families, loads of people that want to get involved.
Heaps. Great atmosphere for 60 minutes. First goal goes in, they're still cheering, they're still trying to pick the boys back up, and then just the response was not there.
Yeah.
The boys looked so demotivated after that first goal. I didn't see a single person putting it, trying to rally the fucking troops or going anything. No. First goal went in, and you could just sense it was dead. It was not from the fans. The fans wanted it.
Fans wanted it going
because we believed after that Pierman chance, after that Pennington chance, that Taggart chance. Lizalewski. We knew that we had a shot here. But after that first goal goes in, the response from the team was piss poor, man.
Yeah, not good.
No motivation, no sort of extra effort put in. No changes from Dave, which is what concerned me most.
He should have. The frustrating thing, and because I was sitting with Josh, the frustrating thing for me was Anasmo should have been brought on as we had the momentum in the 50th minute, 55th minute. He should have been brought on, cause a bit more chaos.
Same with Lockie Wales.
Yeah,
I genuinely believe if you go into that stage, let's say 55th minute, and you switch it to 4-2-3-1, you bring Pierman back into the centre, you put on Gamulka for Franey alongside Pennington, and you bring on Wales and Anasmo. I know it's 3 subs, but you put on those 3 subs, and I think we genuinely...
You go for the throat.
Yeah.
But we didn't
I genuinely think we could have won that game.
But we didn't do that. We waited too long.
Yeah.
And then you have the Santos goal. What did I have down? It was from a pressing situation.
It's just fucking shit.
Minimal intensity. Plenty of players committed.
Yep.
Victory, because they're very, very technically good. They can actually, unlike our players, they can pass the ball well under pressure and not give the ball away. Machach was able to receive in a very good position. He drove at what was an exposed Glory defence, and then he found Virgos, who then did a great cross. Lizalewski, who had been solid up to that point, lost Santos, and a good header. But like we mentioned before, this is the 9th time this season that we've conceded 2 goals in a 6-minute period.
Yep.
And it cost us points.
Yep.
So
look, Machach is probably one of the best attacking midfielders in the league. I want to know what the thought process was behind playing 2 8s in a double pivot against Melbourne Victory.
Silly.
Yeah, this is the same shit that we were criticizing Stadge for.
Yeah.
When he was playing a fucking Amini and Collie double pivot.
Yeah, there was
that wasn't working.
Yeah, no defensive presence.
Just like, hey, when you play 2 8s in a 6 double pivot,
yeah,
most of the time it doesn't work. You
and
know,
then
they tend to get caught out of position.
and it happened to Pennington and Franey so many times, and it's like, well, where's that number 6 that's there to sweep things up?
Yeah,
because if you're not going to have centre backs that want to step up and concede space in behind, then you run the risk of teams exploiting space.
Yeah. And that's another thing with not having Labib as well, is that we don't have that freedom to be able to step the back line up because there's no recovery pace there.
No. And there was, I'll flash a few still images, but there were so many occasions where our midfield would be caught out of position and the Victory players were just overloading our back four. And that's the case. A lot of teams have done that this season. I can recall when the Jets came to HBF Park, would always look to attack with a line of 5 behind our midfield too.
Same with Melbourne City as well.
Same with City. Jets also did it recently. And teams are cashing in on our poor defensive structure. And as I wrote down, it felt like we were watching that Jets, City and Macarthur games all over again. Once it hit 2-0, who was going to make that action that was going to spur the team on?
Yeah.
The energy levels just dropped as well for me, which wasn't good enough.
Yeah, no, that was particularly poor. I guess we might as well just briefly touch on it because we'll probably cover it not after the Mariners game, but I'm guessing the week after once the transfer window ends in terms of discussing all of our transfer business. But we've got about a week to go because the window ends on the 12th. Is it?
Not sure.
I think it's the 12th because it started on Jan 16th.
Yeah, it'd be around mid-Feb. Yeah.
So. Got about a week to go in the transfer window. Do you reckon there's any business still to be done? Do you expect any business to be done, and do you want any business to be done?
I'd like to see some business done, but I don't think we'll do any more.
I would also like to see some business done. I think there's a decent free agent market out there.
Who?
Josh Laws, for example.
I don't think I have the budget for it.
I'd like to know what the budget is and what it's being spent on.
I think.
Look, I understand that we've bought in quite a few players, but I seriously doubt that anyone that we've bought in is taking up a large chunk of money. You know, Misao, Okamoto, and fucking Tas Mortakudis don't exactly seem like big money ballers.
No,
and I would assume, well, we're probably covering the entirety of Patrick Wood's salary. I'm assuming.
Who knows?
Who knows? Honestly,
yeah.
Who knows?
I doubt it. I'd like to hope we're not covering the whole thing, but yeah, it's. I think we do need a specialist defensive midfielder.
I personally,
that's been a problem position now for years. We've not had a proper defensive midfielder that, in the same way Verstraete is for Auckland, where they can just eat up ground and just win their duels.
I was really hoping that O'Neill would kick on a lot more than he has, to be honest.
Yeah.
But look, O'Neill's fine. I'm happy you keep him at the club. But he's on a cheap deal.
He's a squatty at best. I mean, O'Neill's impact this season for me is below par.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to see.
He's had some good performances against Auckland. He was phenomenal.
He has, but I want to see more.
Yeah,
and it's like our senior players, especially. I just don't think we've been getting enough output from them this season.
I just think physically O'Neill's past it, so it's hard for him to build some momentum when he's not necessarily playing. And that I don't think that's on Zrilic necessarily that he's not playing. It's because O'Neill hasn't really given Zrilic a reason to start him week in, week out.
No,
and I'm assuming that him being out of the squad this week was probably due to fitness. I'm going to guess.
Who knows? I mean, he did. I mean, the Newcastle game, he did, if I recall correctly, early on, have a bit of a heavy knock.
He did.
But it's like we should be trying to look for a bit of consistency with a lineup, and obviously Pennington and Gomulka has been the midfield that we've used more often than not, and it has been okay. But I still think we still need a really good number 6.
Yeah.
And we really need to think, is the double pivot that we've got the way to go? Because I don't think Pennington in particular fits that.
You give me a banger number 6.
Yep.
As well as Gomulka and Pennington in front of them. Maybe even next season if you don't want to go for a proper 10.
Yeah.
As 2 8s and a 6.
Yeah.
Could work.
But is Zrilic going to want to change the system?
No, he's not. And that's why that probably won't happen. But you know what? We can only hope. Anyways, final thoughts on the game. I thought we did well the opening... Well, I'd like to say the opening 55. There were some dodgy parts, but we did well to get the ball forward. Thought we had some good opportunities. Should have scored through Taggart. Maybe could have scored through Wood. That first 10 minutes of the second half, I really, really thought we were onto something there.
Yeah.
Melbourne started really poor. I
don't think Victory anticipated that.
No, not at all. But I think, once again, Zrilic took too long to make subs.
Too long.
Way too long.
Way too long. Should have considered them at halftime.
I probably would have gone for some at halftime as well. As soon as I saw that Osler wasn't having any sort of positive output.
You had Wood that was cramping up in the game also.
Oh, yeah.
And then Miller Jusnic as well. I'm sorry, but what the fuck, bro? Like, just when I saw him come on, and I was like, oh my God, is he going to pull another hamstring? And you could see once he got on the pitch that he didn't want to sprint.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to go as hard and as fast as he could. And I can get it, when you've got the hamstring situation that he had. But it's such a bad look. When you had the rest of the team that was gassed by the hour mark and everyone in the ground could see it, you'd expect more from your subs. Yeah. And I felt you could see an Asmo giving it a red hot crack and Wales giving it a red hot crack.
It is a real shame as well, because I really think that having a fully fit Miller Jusnic this season, while I don't think we'd be in the 6, I think we'd be doing a lot better. I feel he would have done a lot for our pressing structure.
Probably.
He's a very good presser of the ball. He's quick. It would have helped for us getting him behind. But it just hasn't come to fruition this season. Obviously, the injury troubles. We got Lachie Wales now. I was disappointed to not see him starting against the Victory.
He has to start against Mariners.
He has to start against the Mariners.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I genuinely believe there's points to be won against the Mariners. 100%. I think there's points to be taken there.
Well, for me...
They leave themselves very, very open at times.
It's a must-win for Dave.
I can see that.
For me, because we probably all felt going into the bye, with our next 3 games following the bye being the Jets, Victory and Mariners, they were all winnable games. If we were able to build on that Auckland performance, those 3 games were definitely winnable.
Yep.
Yet we're coming away from these games with 1 point against the Jets, which was fortunate, a loss against Victory, and now a game against the Mariners where... we're
missing Pim and Lizolowski, Labib and Bulgaria.
And we've got to get results. Yeah. Because as much as I mentioned comparing us to last season, at this point after 16 games where we had 34 goals scored, we had 16 points on the board.
Yeah.
We only have 9. 2 wins, 3 draws, 11 losses this season compared to 4 wins, 4 draws and 8 losses last season.
Yeah.
So David has to get results. And it's all well and good for him to say, well, the performances have been improving. But that's because the bar was set so extraordinarily low against MacArthur that anything that's somewhat competitive is considered a step forward. Yeah. Yet when you look at our game plan, our model of play, would you say that it is really that much better than what it has been now?
I'd say it's the same. I'd just say that the players are starting to perform individually better, and that's sort of papering over the cracks.
But collectively, are we improving?
I think collectively we are improving, but it's very slow and very tedious.
It's not improving for me at a rate that it should be, and especially because when you look at our next few games, if I get them up after Mariners,
look, I think you and I can both agree that we're both still on the John Brady train. If he's not available, though, if he is not available, I'm willing to ride it out with Zrilic until something does become available.
For as much as I do want it, and I've said it when I had that big rant, for as much as I want it to work with David Zrilic, I'd still be getting on the phone to John Brady and would be saying, are you interested?
Yeah.
Because it's like, David, for me, I can't say, if we did like a blind sample of Perth Glory supporters, picked at random, let's say we picked 250 of them, of that 250, if we ask them, are you satisfied with the performance of the head coach? Are you satisfied with your head coach? And you can say fans are reactionary or maybe don't take into account what happens behind the scenes, but you would probably get north of 75 to 80% that would not be content with the coach's performance.
Yeah.
And I would be expecting at this point of the season, after 16 games, to be seeing a far more defined philosophy, but one that's effective, impactful, and practical.
Yep.
But we're not getting results. And when you look at our next few games, you've got Mariners at home, City away, Sydney FC at home, and Western Sydney Wanderers away as our next 4 games, and then you've got Brisbane at home.
Horrific.
I can't see after the Mariners game where our next win will be, aside from Brisbane.
Look, I probably agree with you there, honestly. That Brisbane one
We've got to be banking on a win for that, and that's March.
Mate, if we're not winning that game, it might be curtains.
For me, the season's already a write-off. But
pretty much, yeah.
Because the gap's too far. How are we going to catch the likes of West Sydney Wanderers or Sydney FC, Melbourne Victory? We can't catch them, or MacArthur.
Not possible.
No, and where are we gonna get into a run of consistent form where we're going to start playing to a level that is acceptable? Because how much more time do we need? For me? And that's why I go to Zrilla and I say, well, you've got your philosophy, but dude, it's not working. You've got problems that are consistent since the first part of the season where every fan was spitting the dummy out of the pram going, what the fuck? This is poor. Teams are finding it too easy.
In terms of things that also make me go, what the fuck, this is poor. Jalen Pearman, the whole situation there. Well, according to multiple sources, nothing confirmed by the club, but according to multiple sources, he has signed a pre-contract agreement with QPR.
They're resigned to losing him.
Yes. The Glory are pretty much about to lose probably one of the most promising youngsters we brought through the club in recent years.
Yep.
For nothing, and that's because we signed him on a scholarship deal at the start of the year instead of a pro deal.
Offered him a pro deal
Okay. The club said that there was a 3-year offer on the table. We've heard from all of the other sources that it was, made before the QPR offer came in. But this couldn't have been before he made his pro debut. Because why would the club, knowing full well, he's been in the academy since young.
Yep.
Why would the club, knowing full well of his potential, knowing full well of his ability, why would they offer him a scholarship deal and then offer him a 3-year pro deal before he's made his pro debut? It wouldn't happen.
But why not give him a pro deal when you're more than happy to give pro deals to untested and untried NPL New South Wales products?
But it's just besides that. It's just what really shits me about this club. Our talent ID seems to be fucking awful.
Yeah.
I honestly do not get it. You have Alex Garbowski, just made a senior debut for BK Hachen in Sweden's first tier.
Yep.
16 years old as a centre-back.
Yep.
Left us last year.
Yeah,
midway through last year, something like that.
Yeah.
Just made his pro debut in Sweden. Never even got a look into the first team. Never even considered for a pro contract. Whatever, right?
What about Sakati?
Sakati.
That was even worse.
16 years old. Left for Parma.
Yep.
We never offered him a pro deal. Now he's tearing it up.
Yep.
So that's another missed one.
You got Robbie Cook.
You've just signed for Leeds. Daniel Benny.
Yeah.
Signed for QPR that we lost on a free. All these players that we're losing on free deals because we're piss farting around.
Promising West Australian products, importantly.
100%.
This is the thing. And WA products.
There are so many coming through the academy right now that I could genuinely see being big players. Christian Pulella is one. Alex Bolton.
Because Pulella was the one that had the, some account on Twitter did a compilation of
Christian Pulella.
Yeah. And I'm like, because I should be watching more of the NPL games, but this is one of my first times to really see him isolated. Yeah. And I was like, shit.
16 years of age.
Shit, he's good.
16 years of age.
And for me, depending on how the fitness of Misao is, if he's not fully fit, I'd be considering having him on the bench 100%. And looking to slowly integrate him into the team.
You look at some other youngsters. Alex Bolton has been phenomenal, consistently.
Made in the under-20s, I think.
Yep.
He's
Max Naylor.
Yep.
I've only ever seen him play once in person, but it was a pre-season friendly against Perth Soccer Club. He's 16. He scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
Including
Seb
the goalkeeper from a penalty.
Despotovsky?
Sam Despotovsky.
Yeah.
He's got good potential. And look, it just really doesn't.
It's embarrassing. Look, it's embarrassing that the club, I have to make this point because we've lost too many WA players, and then we go on to bitch about how we don't have enough money that comes through. Yet you see, you know how much MacArthur made for their 3 players? Approximately.
It was, what was it? It was 900 for Drew,
2.1 million.
900 for Drew, 830 for PL, and then 400 for Oliver Jones.
Yeah. So a club like MacArthur,
if Oliver fucking Jones is going for $400,000,
and we're going to make probably 200 or 300 grand off of Pearman for the training fee. This is embarrassing by the club. And
Ariath PL for 830,000 to the MLS.
Yeah.
Pearman is a fucking £1 million player.
But that's the thing. Why shouldn't he be worth that much?
He is worth that much.
He should be.
But we're genuinely so incompetent when it comes to player valuation.
Yeah.
I'm so stunned. So just disappointed and stunned and shocked.
He
and
should have been offered a pro deal instead of a scholarship deal at the
100%.
time, because everyone knew, people that watched the NPL far more than I did were always speaking about Jalen Pearman is a player.
Yeah.
Around about the time when he got released by Stan accidentally, he scored a fantastic goal for the NPL side against Western Knights.
Yep.
And that was something that we were ranting on about and going, wow.
And then he goes and does it against Auckland.
Goes and does the exact same thing against Auckland. And I'm like, we got him on a scholarship deal, yet we've signed, no offence, but we signed Abdul Faisal pro deal, Bulgaria pro deal, Nat Blair pro deal. Those guys haven't been effective this season.
Yeah.
Why are we not looking to prioritise West Australian products, and why aren't we trying to give our club a little bit of security with our assets where we can tie them down to a long-term deal?
Look, I like the idea of signing promising young players from the Eastern NPL.
But they shouldn't be getting a pro deal preference over the WA guys.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Because we've got one of the largest talent pools here in the country.
Yeah.
We're an isolated club. We're a one-club city.
Yep.
Every young player aiming to play professionally in Australia is aiming for Perth Glory if they're in WA.
Yeah.
So why are we not looking at this? You want to know what? You want to know another thing that I brought this up to Finley as well.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how the NPL team is doing a game in, I think it's
Bunbury.
Bunbury.
Yeah.
And he said they did one in Geraldton last year and no one turned up. And I said we should be doing more in Bunbury and Albany because those places actually do like football.
Yeah.
How much talent has come through Bunbury?
Well, definitely Rizzo.
Oh my! Risdon came through, but another one, Josh Novello, went straight from South West Phoenix. I think went straight to Cisenza. Went to Cisenza.
Is he with Tanana now?
Taranara. He signed for them permanently. I think he got loaned out to Seti Chair. But this is another thing. There is so much talent there that we just don't see because either we're not doing enough to actually find it, or we're just
we've allegedly been offering bad contracts also.
One thing that I've also talked about, I've said it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll say it again.
Right.
The whole idea of the WA state teams is fucking stupid because it's not an open trial. It is a trial in order to find injury replacement players for the Perth Glory FC Academy team. The team that they fielded recently pretty much was the entire Perth Glory squad. And I've said this, when you do these state-to-state tours, you should do the A-League clubs and their academies play against each other, and then
the youth league should be brought back.
But 100%, you should do the youth league, but these like tours like Team WA, Team New South Wales, Team Victoria, it should be the best of the rest.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be kids playing in professional academy teams. They get their exposure. They get whatever. You've got all these other kids there playing for your Bayswaters, your Armidales, your Southwest Phoenix, all those clubs. They're not getting any exposure, not anything, which is absolutely ridiculous because I can tell you confidently with chest that there are so many players that don't play for that Perth Glory youth setup or did before it got disbanded that are hands down better than some of those Perth Glory players.
But the point is that there is talent in the WA NPL system and in WA football, and the broader point is that we've not been able to improve the club's financial situation.
Either we're not doing enough to find it, or
because we don't value them enough.
Yeah,
like the last time we made a transfer fee on a West Australian product would have been what? Was Italiano sold on?
Yeah, he was to Mönchengladbach. Yeah,
and then obviously you had Jelicic who was picked up by Ghent, but that was a Queensland product.
Yeah,
we should be looking to tie down our West Australian.
I don't think Italiano was on a pro deal. He was on a scholarship, was he not?
I can be corrected on that.
We sold him mid-season, I'm pretty sure.
It was Popper's season, wasn't it? After the first season with Popper?
I'm pretty sure it was, but it was mid-season.
But the point is, players like Pearman and Labib.
Yeah.
Labib's obviously on a pro deal.
Yeah.
But if Pearman was on the same contract, I feel very confident in saying we would have made well over $1 million.
Oh, 100%. Oh, for the tour, mate. For the tour. You're looking at getting Pearman up there with the top 10 most profitable A-League transfers of all time. Same with Labib.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Our club could be in a much healthier position, and you wouldn't hear the constant bitching about, we've got debt, we can't afford to sign top players, because this is what's going to happen now. We don't have the facilities to go and sign these top players, like visa players or senior Australian players that are going to help out our young guys, because we've been fucking things up. And this is another indictment on the football department. Okay, yes, Stan has only been here for almost a year now, but his responsibility should have been to sign Jalen Pearman at the time on a pro deal. Everyone knew of his talent, and the fact that we preferenced players from over east to give them pro deals when both, no disrespect to Bulgaria and Faisal, but they hadn't played in the A-League. Faisal was coming from MPL 2, left to go back to Sydney. Obviously, he was homesick, and Bulgaria hasn't really been seen in the first team for a couple of weeks now. Pearman has been killing it, and it was no surprise in the MPL for those that have been watching it far more than I have. They've said this guy is good, and everyone's known of his talent. It's an embarrassment for Perth Glory Football Club that when you see other clubs that are cashing in for their young players, that we're not getting a similar transfer fee for one of our best products.
I was talking with, for those of you that know, I'm also part of the Green and Gold FC podcast now, but we talk all things Australian football. One of the things we did discuss was that a big benefit of the A-League becoming financially stable and getting these big transfer fees for players is that you're going to see an increased influx in players getting long-term pro deals from a younger age.
Yeah.
You're not going to see 18-year-olds on a 1-year deal, on a 2-year deal. You'll see them on 3, 4, 5-year deals, which is going to be good because it means that the value that we're going to be able to get out of transfers to European clubs is going to be much more.
Yeah.
What I'm pissed off with, though, is the fact that, look, I understand that you want to sign. Bulgaria was a big... look, let's not kid ourselves here. Nat Blair and Bulgaria were tearing it up in New South Wales. So I can see why the club signed them. And you and I, as well as Josh and Will, we were all very excited for those signings, right?
Blair, I was a bit sceptical. Bulgaria, I probably hyped up a little too much.
Obviously, it hasn't worked out, right?
Not
when
yet.
You do make those, not yet. But when you do make those signings, you have to stick by them, man. What kind of just pisses me off is how we did make those signings. We gave them a couple games that didn't work, and now they're back in the fucking scraps and can't get.
But even in the MPL, the most recent game, I think both Blair and Ngo were in that team, and I had someone that was watching the game, and he told me that Nat Blair didn't look too good.
Nat Blair is a player where he needs service, man. He needs service. He's not the kind of striker that's going to do shit on his own.
But he had Seb Despotowski, I think, who scored that same game.
Yeah, but Seb wasn't playing at striker. He was playing at cam.
Well, you can
Seb's
develop.
not a great creator.
He can score goals.
He can score goals. He's not a great creator.
That's all right, but I want him to score goals anyway.
Oh, well, that's fair, but it's completely different. Quine Go tears the shit out of the NPL, man. Yeah. It was fucking crazy watching him against Bayswater.
But the broader point, like we said, we just need to value our assets, particularly our WA assets, a little bit more so that we can, as a club, benefit financially.
100%.
Because obviously everyone knows that there's a $7 million debt against the club. Obviously, there's been issues with prior administrations with how the salary cap has been constructed. And yes, we're obviously going to need the Pelligra group to invest quite a fair bit to make this club competitive and get to a point where we're in the top 6. But a massive boost would have been for us to have sold on Pearman for a good fee, which could have helped us maybe get more quality in or go to other areas.
Yeah.
So that's just probably one of the disappointing things for me. We may as well preview the Mariners game.
What would you like to see as the starting lineup? I'll go through mine if you want first.
You go yours first.
Sale in goal, obviously. Back four of, I'd say, Risdon, Murchula, Mortakudis, and Missau. Double pivot of Gamulka Pennington. Right wing, Wales. Left wing, Anasmo. I'm going to go with... Well, okay. You can go one of two ways here, right? Firstly, you can chuck Pennington in the 10, go Gamulka and O'Neill behind, and then go Tags up top. You could do that. Or you can go 4-4-2 with Tags and Wood.
Nope.
No.
I think Zrilla will go with that. I personally would just rather play Pennington in the 10.
4-3-3, bro. We just had a debate about 30 minutes ago talking about 4-3-3.
I'm trying to go with what I think Zrilic will go for. He'll go for the 4-4-2. If we were going off of what I wanted, we would have been playing 3-4-3 since the start of the fucking season.
Do what you want.
Do what I want.
Okay, do your lineup that you want to see. What do you want to see?
What I want to see. Shit. Okay.
Now you're put on the spot.
No. Because what I want to see is just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Of what we can do against Mariners with the players that are available, what would you want to see?
Okay. Give me Sale in goal, back four of Risdon, Murchula. I'll be honest, I'd put Majeka Dunmi over Mortakudis as a partner to Murchula. I think Mortakudis is better. I think Majeka Dunmi would be a better partner. But I'll go Murchula Mortakudis since it worked okay last game.
Right.
Missau, midfield three of Pennington, Pennington, Gamulka, O'Neill, right wing Wales, left wing Anasmo, striker Taggart. That's what I'd go.
I'd have Franian over O'Neill.
You'd have Franian over O'Neill?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I probably would as well.
Other than that, I'm not changing what you said. Yeah. That for me, you can overload the Mariners, but is Dave just change it. I mean, we've changed so much this season. Why not change the system as in the formation? You can still have your principles, and things shouldn't be too out of whack if you change formation.
Yeah,
try it.
I actually like your call as well on starting Franny. I actually thinking on it now.
Give him. Well,
I'd start Gamulka as the sole pivot, and then Franny and Pennington ahead.
Because there's more to see, no doubt, with Franny. I mean, yes, against Victory, maybe it was a big occasion. It was a big game, but I think you just need to give him more starts and see what he can do.
Yeah, especially look when you play a two-man midfield against a team that overloads their midfield, which is why they create so much. You're feeding him to the fucking.
We need
wolves,
that. We need that extra support, and what we need to do is try and stifle the Mariners as best as we can and create as many opportunities as we can.
I think that's a good spot to leave it. We've rambled on quite a bit, gotten a bit frustrated at times, but you know that's Perth Glory Football Club. If it's anything, it's frustrating.
Kills your mental health.
Oh yes, it does. Anyways, game is tomorrow night, so hopefully it all goes well. But we'd like to thank you all so much for watching and supporting the podcast. Apologies for taking our time to get this one out. Unfortunately, we had a bunch of commitments and stuff throughout the week. Delays, we weren't able to do it.
Leave your thoughts in the chat or in the comments. We always like to read what you guys have to say.
Absolutely, and hopefully something better against the Mariners tomorrow night.
Crossed.
And we can come back to the next episode being happy.
A little happy. Not too depressed.
Thank you guys. We
Cheers,
appreciate
guys.
it. See you on episode 25.